Hey, welcome to this special interview with my dear friend, Dr. Monisha Bhanote. Dr. Bhanote is a quintuple board certified functional medical doctor. Yes, working with her is like working with five doctors in one, and she has a specialty in Ayurvedic medicine. Today, we're going to be talking about what things are those hidden culprits that are damaging your gut and potentially contributing to cancer and other chronic metabolic diseases, as well as some key principles and key takeaways that you can implement to help heal your gut so your body can heal itself and thrive. Dr. Monisha, what's happening? Thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nathan. Glad to be here and have this conversation with you again.
Absolutely. So tell me, what are some of the kind of key things, maybe hidden culprits, people maybe aren't even thinking about that are damaging their gut every single day?
Yeah, so, from a gut health perspective, there's a number of things we can consider. And food obviously is going to be a big one. But even before we get to food, I want to talk about some of the other things that people might not realize, because food we'll definitely talk about. But um, sleep is a big one. So think about when you're eating, because I know there's a lot of late night eaters, right? So they might be eating their meals 8, 9, up until 10 o'clock till they're going to bed. And when they're doing that, not only are they disrupting their sleep, they're not able to optimally digest. And maybe they're waking up with reflux in the morning. So that's number one. Sleep would be up on the top of that list. Then
Well,
movement
and
and
and probably two, right? Like stop eating at least 2 or 3 hours before bed is the ideal
minimum.
scenario, right?
Yes, absolutely. Our body needs that time to break down the food. And so then it can kind of shift into more of a let's sleep instead of we're digesting. The other thing I noticed that a number of people do is after they eat, what do they go do? They go and sit on the couch and they're like, oh, let's put on the news, let's watch a movie. And that's another thing that slows down your digestion, right? So even like I'm definitely not recommending going and doing a Nathan Crane workout, but what I am saying to do is take a walk around the neighborhood. Allow that food to move down your body and help it digest so you don't feel so bloated afterwards, right? So those are two things that I think get often overlooked because when we're thinking about what's destroying our gut, we're so focused on the foods, but that lifestyle practices are critical there.
You know, I
So
started
going
I
back to the
started
foods.
walking. I love that because I started walking after lunch and I just schedule it in. So I eat and then I go for about a 30-minute walk and listen to, a podcast or a spiritual conversation, something, positive I'm listening to while I'm walking because, it's not only going to help, your blood sugar response, right? And your gut health and your digestion, just like you talked about, but also helps with energy, what I noticed, because if you eat a big meal and then you just kind of sit down or you go right back to work, your
Mhm.
body's trying to put all its energy into digestion at that moment, right? But you're trying to, then you have caffeine and you go back to work or something and you're like trying to divert that energy away. Your body can't,
It's
regulate its energy as properly and it's going to cause dysfunction. So that quick, even a 15-minute walk, but I try to do 30 minutes, makes a huge difference in actually your body being able to metabolize that food properly, digest properly, regulate your blood sugar properly. These little things, like you said, people don't often think about, but they're actually critical to overall health and well-being.
Yeah. So think about this. If you're working a 9 to 5 job and you get an hour break for lunch and we don't really spend an hour eating, right? We might spend 15 to 20 minutes eating and the rest of the time maybe talking, getting on our phones, doing something that probably isn't optimal, right? So if you took that nice 20 to 30 minutes to eat and then that 30 minutes afterwards to walk, that afternoon slump that comes to 3 o'clock where you're going for the candy jar or your next cup of coffee, you're not going to need that because you're not going to feel like your body slowed down because it's now got to digest everything you sat and ate, right? So that's definitely critical. So then going back to what else is important for the gut, like what are some of the things that are damaging it? And I always like to go back to um, and I'm still not getting to the foods yet. I want to get to medications. Okay, so sometimes medications are necessary. I'm not saying, don't take your medications if you have chronic diseases and you've been prescribed by your doctor to take something, take it. But here's the thing. When we are popping Advils, like all of these over-the-counter Motrin for pain relief, I've got a headache because I've been staring at my computer screen. When we're popping all these things, realize at the end of the day, medications are technically can be toxins for our body and destroy our gut microbiome. Now we are in cold and flu season. So, I was at the gym the other day or yesterday, and the girl next to me, she was talking about how everybody's coming down with something. And she's like, oh, I just picked up a Z-Pack. I'll be fine. Right. And we think about like, oh, let me just take an antibiotic and I will be fine without realizing how much that one round of antibiotics can take up to a year to repair your gut microbiome, right? So when we're thinking of that, we need to think, do I really need the antibiotics? Because if it's a virus going around, antibiotics will not help a virus. Antibiotics are meant for bacterial infections. So I want people to be really cautious of like quickly grabbing things because they're like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is, what I'm used to doing, because we really want to protect our gut microbiome, because the gut microbiome really is the, not just from a functional medicine perspective or integrative perspective, but also from an Ayurvedic perspective, the gut is critical to help prevent all diseases that anyone will experience in a lifetime.
It's so
So
true. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up with like Advil, ibuprofen, Tylenol, Motrin, all these things. NSAIDs is another big one that are just like prescribed by the millions when someone has pain or some kind of inflammatory condition. I was dealing with, this chronic inflammatory pain in my shoulders from, training to be a professional athlete. And like I just couldn't get the pain down. I was looking for solutions. And the doctor immediately prescribed me an NSAID, and I thought I don't take these things. I haven't taken an ibuprofen in like 15 years. I just don't touch this stuff. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna test it and see what happens. And yeah, in 1 or 2 days, because he's like, yeah, try it for a few days and then see if that just helps reset things. I was like, all right, I'll try it. Let's see what happens. I tried for like 2 or 3 days, and yeah, that pain was gone. It was crazy how quick that pinching inflammatory pain was gone. But when you look at what NSAIDs do to the gut, like it, in my opinion, is probably as bad or similar to antibiotics. Like they totally tear up the gut. And,
yeah.
people who are living on these things every day, they're like, I feel so good. I don't have this pain. You don't realize you're tearing holes in your gut lining. You are allowing proteins to slip through. You're opening up the potential for autoimmune disease and so many other way worse problems to come in 1, 2, 5, 10 years down the road. When in fact, it's like, well, I just either deal with this pain now or try physical therapy, natural things, natural anti-inflammatories, all these things, get the pain down naturally as much as possible. Or quick fix, destroy your gut, have way worse problems later on. So I
Yeah.
took them for 2 days and I threw them away. Like it's just like it's not worth it.
And it's the chronic use we're talking about, right? So it's the let's rely on this to get us through use that I'm talking about. And so you mentioned destroying the gut. Well, I can tell you from a microscopic point of view because I've done and reviewed so many GI biopsies, esophageal biopsies, colon biopsies, and something commonly we see is called pill esophagitis, where we can actually see the pill fat fragments in our biopsy. They get stuck in the actual esophageal tissue. Something else we commonly see, if you went in for an upper endoscopy, which is really looking at your esophagus and your stomach, and somewhat into your duodenum. If you went in for an upper endoscopy and the doctor took out some biopsies there, they get sent to somebody like me, a pathologist, and I look at them. And I can tell, even without looking at the patient's chart, if I see that they have reactive gastropathy, which is specific morphologic features of a stomach biopsy that is not normal, that they are on medications and they've been on medications for a long time versus somebody who is not on medications. I mean, these are microscopic changes that happen on a cellular level in a person's human body. Now, when you get those changes, guess what? Those glands that are supposed to do what they're supposed to be doing don't do that. So that means we're not making the enzymes or the acids that we need to break down the food. So of course, when you eat, then you're like, well, now I don't know what food's causing problems and this. So I think, we talked about a couple things that are overlooked, right? Like when we eat and what we do after we eat, sleeping and moving our body, and then toxins or extraneous things like medications that are maybe overused are critical for the gut microbiome to kind of consider. Because I think people know about the foods that they shouldn't be eating, but we can definitely mention them. We live in a ultra processed food society. So anything that's coming out of a box, with food additives, food coloring, words that make absolutely no sense and make you think of like science class, those are things that we 100% want to avoid because they will damage the integrity of your GI tract lining. And when that integrity is damaged, guess what? Somebody else who's exposed to a virus or a parasite who has a strong integrity of that lining, it'll go right through them. As opposed to somebody whose gut is damaged, guess what? Now they're going to get sick because these bugs enter through that leaky GI junction in the tract, and then they go into the bloodstream, and then they cause problems downstream in other parts of the body. And that's often what I see. And I know, like, I travel a lot, and I'm like, people are like, how do you travel without getting sick? And you're in other countries, you're eating other foods, and you're not sick, and you're not coming back with parasites, and you're not coming back with a cold. How do you do that? And the trick really is having a very strong gut microbiome and protecting that gut microbiome. So then you can do all the things you want to do.
So, what are maybe, I mean, you talk about ultra processed foods and things like that. What two or three foods people eat daily on average that are absolutely damaging the gut that they should avoid?
Ooh, tough question. Okay, only two or three. All right, let's start with sugar. All right. The amount of sugar in our food, and I'm talking about not just the sugar you might put into your coffee or your tea, I'm talking about hidden sugars. Okay. So we have a number of hidden sugars. Think about your salad dressings are full of sugar. Think about, definitely the candy bowl that you walk by in the office is pure sugar. Think about your white ultra processed foods. So those pastries, those bagels in the morning, those breakfast sandwiches that, even some of the granola bars, depending on what you're picking up, you're getting a lot of sugar in your body. And sugar at the end of the day will create inflammation. Inflammation creates disease, anywhere from autoimmune disease to cancers, right? So it's an inflammation spectrum that we live on. So sugar would be a big one.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
people are eating it every day.
it's very well studied, right? A lot of the processed sugar, and obviously you're talking about processed sugar for the most part, right? I mean, you're talking about, high fructose corn syrup and cane sugar and, any kind of processed added sugar that's added to things. You're not talking about sugar that comes in a whole food form in
So,
fruit,
so let
berry,
me
for
clarify.
example.
There is almost, I want to say, is it 50 or 80, around 50 to 80 different names for sugar.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're getting something out of a box, turn over the box, read the label, and if the first three ingredients are anything like sucrose, fructose, high corn, what you just said, I don't even use corn syrup, so but so if it's any of this stuff, then that means that it is
Yeah,
ultra processed sugar.
palm sugar, cane sugar,
Okay, all of these,
maple
right?
sugar, like all these things they tried, organic maple sugar, like all these
Mm-hmm.
things that try to make it sound good. It is. It's contributing to inflammation in the gut. It's
Yeah.
contributing to gut permeability. It's contributing to leaky gut. Like there are tons of studies on this that
Yeah.
unfortunately people
Um,
don't realize that, if you just look at the back of a package, it says 12 grams of added sugar, right? That added sugar is 12 grams of gut permeability, leaky gut inflammation, damaging your gut every time you eat it.
100%. And to go back to your question, I'm not talking about the sugar in real fruit, right? Because that sugar comes with fiber. Your body doesn't have the same response to it. I'm not even talking about like dates. Like I just came back from a trip where the dates I get at the grocery store here, I'm never buying them again because I actually experienced what real dates taste like, that they melt in your mouth and you only need one because it's like the most amazing date in the world. But so
So
sugar
good.
is one that not everybody, but a significant portion of people are having on a regular basis that is creating inflammation, contributing to destroying their gut microbiome. And ultimately leading to, whatever diseases they might be getting. Number two would be, and I'm putting this a little bit separate from sugar, even though it's kind of in that category, because I still see this is these diet sodas, these aspartame. Let me just use these artificial things because they are better. What I have seen in my experience is individuals who are using, once again, things that are ultra processed and artificial. And it's very easy to, when you're filling up your gas tank, to go in and pick up a soda and a bag of chips, or maybe, it's one of those we have around here. And I just learned about Buc-ee's around here. Have you ever been into a Buc-ee's, Nathan?
I
Yeah.
have. I didn't know what it was. We went in for gas and I was like, what is it? This is like a gas station Walmart, like super. I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
It's
So,
so
so
busy. And like there's so many people in there. I'm like, this is so crazy.
yeah, but I'm looking at, I was in one, and you're right. You find them on like when you're like getting gas and like these like kind of off the road there, and they're huge, maybe like 100 people getting gas at the same time, and they go into the store. But I'm looking at what people are picking up from the store, and they're picking up the
So
candy, they're
bad.
picking up the sodas, they're picking up, and I'm like, that's none of that's even real food. And then, so my concern always with these drinks and these artificially flavored sugar-free drinks is that they've been replaced with something else that our body can't recognize. And what I have seen is individuals who, are like, oh, I'm only having one Diet Coke a day or one Diet Dr. Pepper. Over time, their gut permeability does get damaged. So by the time they're hitting their like mid 20s, 30s, they're developing autoimmune disease because guess what? Now the body is like, well, we got to fight back here and we're going to just have to fight ourselves here. So that's what I see a rise of, is because we live in a quick grab and go kind of world, the world of convenience, right? Um, so that would be number two, that I'm seeing people having every day. And the third one I would say every day is probably fast food. Okay. And so I live where I drive by some of these fast food places, and for one particular restaurant, there's probably about 10 cars every day lined up waiting to go through the drive-through. And some of those cars are my neighbors' cars because I talk to them. Like I even see like they have delivery from this particular food place. And I'm like, did you realize there's over 80 chemicals in your chicken sandwich that you are eating? And they're like, what? What do you mean? It's just a chicken sandwich. And I'm like, take a look at what's in it, right? So we don't realize, and it becomes a kind of, oh, I'm doing it. I'm going out with my friends. We're going to go to this place and we're going to eat this. So I think very being cautious of eating out at not, and this is not even a restaurant, right? So fast food and restaurants, being really careful of what you're eating because of the chemicals in the food, the oils, the seed oils in the food. Those are all critical in influencing your gut microbiome. So I think those would be the big three because that's what we see every day.
Absolutely. So, um, I know you've got a retreat coming up in the spring of 2025 at one of the most beautiful resort locations. You're going to be diving deeper into gut health and healing, Ayurvedic medicine, longevity, anti-aging, supporting people's bodies to heal. I'm going to be there as a guest speaker and teacher, which I'm looking forward to. But talk about some of the things you're going to teach at the retreat and some of the things that people can look forward to and think about in terms of like, okay, obviously learning to heal the gut, to live more healthfully, implement, the right diet and lifestyle. These things take time. That's why you got to go to a 6-day retreat and dive deep and learn all the things you need to learn. We can't cover in this interview. You can cover it in a retreat, right? But give people a little taste of what that's going to look like and how they can start thinking about how to heal their gut so their bodies can heal itself and thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. So, our retreat, as you mentioned, is a 6-day, 5-night, March 27th to April 1st, 2025, longevity retreat, Ayurvedic cellular renewal edition. And what that means is we're really combining ancient wisdom with modern science at this event. So we are using some of the technologies we see from a modern perspective to kind of get your body into a more rest and digest place, right? So part of the retreat is really regulating your nervous system because everybody is coming from a place of running on autopilot and just at the point of burnout where it's like we need something to help restore our body. So we have some of that going on. Then you're also going to learn what is, determining your dosha type because understanding it's almost like when you know your horoscope and you're like, oh yeah, that's me. That's a person, or you do a personality test and you're like, yeah, that's me. And you understand yourself better. You can kind of think of Ayurveda, which is actually a 5,000-year-old whole body system of medicine, but you can think of it in that way where if you can learn and recognize what is your constitution, your body's constitution, and how to keep that in balance. That's going to give you just one more tool in your tool belt to healing, and we're going to guide you through learning how that can be, and how to determine what your dosha is. Which you're born with, by the way. And when we get out of balance is when we create disease. And, I know Nathan, so I know his Ayurvedic dosha. I know his wife. I know her dosha, so just by knowing people, I don't even need to give them a quiz. I know what it is.
What's my dosha?
Your dosha, so you're actually a Vata Pitta.
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas your wife is a Pitta
Pit,
Kapha.
pitta, 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 pitta,
No, no,
pitta.
no. She's got a bit of kapha in her, and that's the mom, the loving, the nurturing, the taking care of everything. And then when she doesn't create that balance, she's got that pitta imbalance where she gets burnt out and she's like, I'm throwing, I'm not saying she's doing that, but that's what a pitta imbalance is. Tend to get burnt out.
So Vata
Um,
Pitta, what foods should I avoid?
so as a pitta dosha, we want to incorporate more cooling foods. So we should be avoiding spicy foods because they create more internal heat. They help create reflux in our body. They create digestive things. But what do pittas love doing? They love
Spicy
eating
food.
spicy
I
food.
love spicy food. I'm
Me
telling you.
too. Me too. But that's what I'm saying. You got to balance it. And I know for myself because I'm also a pitta dosha is that if I eat too much of that, that does make me, more irritable, more like quick to snap, as opposed to when I incorporate more of the cooling foods. So lots of salads for me, cucumbers, like colder drink smoothies. Like my body loves that.
Mm.
So you're going to be learning about your doshas for sure. The other amazing thing that you're going to be doing is that the location that we are at, Chef Charlie Garcia has curated this amazing plant-based menu. And, this is probably be my 6th or 7th time going back to this location. And uh, I go back so much because the food is literally like 10-star food where it's unbelievable.
If I could
Um,
give it 20 stars, I would.
yeah, that's
Seriously.
what I'm saying. Like,
It's
like
crazy.
there's so many stars we can give to this experience
Look at
where
this venue. For those of you who are watching, by the way, look at this. This place is so incredible. It is so cool. It is so beautiful. We hosted our mastermind retreat there earlier this year, and it is just like it's one of the most incredible healing spaces I've ever been. It is so
yeah.
cool. And the food
And
is incredible, like organic, local, plant-based. Like it's all just look at that. It's so delicious and it's all inclusive. Like you can eat as much as you want and it's healthy.
And it's healthy. Yeah. So come with your appetites. And you know, even if you're like, oh well, I'm not plant-based, I guarantee you will not miss anything at this experience. The video that you're watching right now, most of the retreat attendees were not plant-based. And they were like, the food, I never imagined that food could be this amazing. If you're just starting your plant-based journey, that's also another thing to consider that you know you'll have that. And then the other thing is that I do want to mention from a retreat perspective, a lot of people come to retreats on their own, right? And yes, you can come with a friend or a partner, but think of this really as your reset, your rejuvenation, your healing, and really surrender to what the experience can bring to you. Because when we step into that place where we allow that healing to happen, and we do it in this, you know, small microscopic 6 days, 5 night experience, you can send your trajectory into healing years into healing.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
so
the
true.
beauty of a retreat.
Yeah, it's like 10xing, right? Your growth, your healing, you get to go deep over, the course of a week and mentally, emotional, physical, spiritual, just the whole transformation that can happen in a single week is so powerful and so palpable. So we'll put a link below this video where you can check this out for yourself. You can also go to drbhanote.com, drbhanote.com if you're just listening to this on the podcast, for example, drbhanote.com, Dr. Bhanote, and then you could click on longevity retreats, and it's the one Riviera Maya, March 27th through April 1st, 2025. You can click there. There is limited spots, and so you want to sign up as soon as possible because it's a little bit more of an intimate retreat, right? I think we're only allowing like 20 or 30 people. Like it's a
Well,
very
it's
nice.
intimate, but we also have a deadline for when you can register. So this is not a last minute, like, let me just decide I'm going to go next weekend
What's
thing.
the final
Uh,
final
the
deadline that
final
people have?
deadline is February 28th.
February
Okay.
28th is the absolute
So,
final deadline. Okay.
and this is something you want to plan for, you know, it's happening in March. Riviera Maya is a beautiful location, especially if, you know, you're coming off the tail end of winter to kind of refresh, restart. Um, and yeah, we didn't even get into all the other things happening there, but you know, between our water healing ceremonies, our light healing, our breath work, our sound healing, you know, we've got a lot of stuff going on, but I promise you, you're going to feel rejuvenated. You're going to feel rested. You're going to feel inspired.
Check out the website, watch the videos, read the FAQ. Um, I'll be there teaching, so we'll get to hang out. Our good friends Robbie's going to be there. They're going to bring their technology, right, from Therasage, and going to
Hmm.
do a whole HRV nervous system thing you were
Yeah.
telling me about, which is going to be really cool. Dr. Monisha's going to be teaching a whole bunch. You're going to have special guides there as well for some of the ceremonies. Like I wanted to talk about this because it's going to be such a beautiful transformational event, and I want you guys to experience this. You will go home totally transformed with tools, right? It's like, yes, you go there, you get inspired, you get connected, you get transformed, but then you get to go home and you actually have culinary tools and cooking tools and new education, information, resources to help you keep making progress in your health and healing journey at home, which is essential. So join us at this incredible retreat. check it out at the link below or drbenote.com. Anything else you want to share with people? This has been super helpful on the gut health perspective. I know we're going to really dive deep into that at the retreat. Anything else on gut health you want people to know about, though?
I think I want them to realize that they can start today and not to be hard on themselves if, they're like, oh, I didn't know this. I've already messed up my gut. Now it's too late. It's never too late. In fact, I have seen tremendous transformations in just a matter of, days of people really starting to focus on their gut health and going, oh, I didn't realize that my pain was related to what food I was putting in my body because it was creating inflammation, right? My fatigue was related to what I was eating. So I think just start small, start today, and realize that if you kind of stay on this trajectory, on this path, 365 days from now, even if you're 1% better, you're going to be a whole new human and a human that you're going to like even more. So, and then we are here to, support you on your journey, however you need. So, yeah, Nathan, we'll put all our links below.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you. I love that. You can get started now and just, I mean, make a simple challenge for yourself. Get yourself ready to come to the retreat, right? Start making little steps right now. If you're eating right before you go to bed, let's try and move that back 30 minutes or an hour. Just start with something where you can actually start to improve your overall gut health and overall well-being. Even moving back, think about this, even moving back your eating time 30 minutes to an hour, that gives your body an extra 30 to 60 minutes to start entering into its own self-healing, self-detoxifying, self-cleansing state in sleep that much sooner, right? The more time we have in sleep, we can get into autophagy, we can get into hormone rebalancing, we can get into detoxing, the glymphatic system and the lymphatic system, all these things, cellular rejuvenation, cleaning up dead cells, all this stuff that happens when we sleep. It doesn't happen very well when all our energy is focused on digestion for 2 or 3 hours, right? So even moving it back a little bit, make it a challenge for yourself, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, you're going to increase your body's time that it has to focus on healing. And if you're dealing with cancer, any chronic disease for that matter, the more time you can put your body into that self-healing state, the better off you're going to be. So take this challenge for yourself. Let us know how it goes for you, and let us know if you're coming to the retreat. You could post in the comments below the video. You can email us. Where can they email you and your team or call you guys if they have more questions about the retreat as well?
So if they have more questions, they can email info@drbenote.com. We're happy to answer any questions, jump on a call, especially if this is your first retreat and you're a little nervous, feel free to reach out. I think, like I said, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. It's kind of going to be beyond your expectations of what even is possible out there. So.
Yeah, it is life changing. You're going to love it, and can't wait to see you there. So, Dr. Monisha, thank you for coming on. Thanks for hosting this retreat. Thanks for having me a part of it, and excited to hang out with you on the beach in Mexico in a few months.
Sounds good. Thank you, Nathan.
Awesome. All right, take care, everybody. Talk to you soon.